yeah. I mean, do you have children?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I find myself in those moments. For instance, my daughter just graduated at NYU, and she was on the dean's list as an honor student. And she got this wonderful letter, and she gets to wear a gold tassel at her graduation. And she handed me the letter, and it was so embarrassing, because I didn't have my glasses on, and all I saw was M.S. Sutherland. I thought it was Mr. And then it was, you've been honored, da-da-da-da. And I was like, how much more money do these people want? I thought it was to me. And I just gave them money last month. And she went, it's about me, Dad. Oh, God. And so I got my glasses on, and I started reading the letter, and it talked about her grade point average and her success, and how thrilled they were to have her in a school, and her certificate. And I did start to lose it there, but yeah, so things like that, yeah.
But what a lovely thing to be also, you know, to have that going on. For her to be doing that well, that must fill you with pride.
Yeah, no, it's astonishing, actually. I mean, because I did not have a very great scholastic career. So I'm just so grateful.
I find this hard to believe, because you look very youthful, but you're a granddad as well.
Yes, yeah.
That's remarkable.
Four-year-old grandson named Hamish.
How lovely.
Yeah.
And are you hands-on? You get to spend much time with him?
Hands-on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it's... and I enjoy that a lot. Yeah. I enjoy that a lot because my oldest daughter, Michelle, she didn't have the greatest scholastic career either. And she was a very, you know, she was a handful. She and I had a lot more in common in kind of the way we grew up.
So she was
and
more
so
rowdy,
being able to hand the baby back in the middle of a fit still makes me smile a little. Yeah.
So you're Kiefer, he's Hamish. This is kind of unusual names that the males are, and Donald is, of course, a Scottish name as well. Is it? It's the Scottish link that the family look back to?
She married a Scottish boy by the name of Adam Sinclair, and so, which is actually very, not marrying him was very funny, but half of Michelle's family is Puerto Rican, and they have no idea what Hamish means. They think it's the worst name on the planet. And then my half of the family, of course, loves it, and we bought him a little kilt and everything else. And
that must really confuse the Puerto Rican side of the family.
Yes, it really is. It's thrown them for a loop.
Turns up wearing a dress, and they're thinking...
It's thrown them for a loop, and then you know, you serve haggis there every once a year, and it really does them in too.
You don't really have an accent at all yourself, do you? You weren't brought up there. You were...
I've had a couple drinks, something happened. But yeah.
And you like Scotch? That's your drink of choice, is it?
I do, yeah. It's actually the only thing I've ever drank.
Okay, but you've drunk plenty of it, I guess.
Not as much as maybe you would think, but I've certainly had my share.
Your share. Okay, that's good. Okay, let me ask you about. Can I ask you about because since we met last time. I think you hadn't become a grandfather yet.
No.
That happened.
No.
And also, you had a brief time in prison.
Yes, I did, yeah.
Now that's something which I wouldn't have anticipated was heading your way, and I'm sure you wouldn't either. What's
I certainly didn't see it coming down the pipe. Yeah. I had made a really stupid mistake. I had made and on so many different levels. But we were at a rap party, and I'd had a few drinks, and I was going to drive home, and I'd obviously had, you know, more than was legally allowed. But I had done it, you know, while we were shooting. I put a lot of things in jeopardy. This show that has been the greatest gift I've ever had, this crew that I was responsible for. And, you know, this is how they make a living. This is how they feed their children. And so when it had happened, there was a small window because of the writer's strike that I basically, you know, instead of going to a trial or anything like that, I basically said, what is the maximum penalty for this? And they told me, and it was about 3 months in jail. And I said, well, I'd like to do it. I'd like to just do it now. This is the time I've got, and, I went and did it. So you took that on behalf of the team, kind of? Well, not really. No, I'd made a dumb mistake, and it was a mistake that I'd also made before. And I think I was so cross with myself, and I thought it was kind of my way of teaching myself a lesson, you know. And so I went off and did it.
And what's that 3 months like when you're in jail? What was that experience like?
It was awful. I mean, it's awful. I mean, for my safety and for, I think the jail was quite worried about getting sued, so they really had to make sure that I was safe. And so I was in solitary for a long time.
Really? So to keep you away from the other inmates, to protect you, and also maybe to stop them from...
But it also, you know, I don't know if I've ever spent 24 hours by myself, let alone 3 months, you know.
Yeah,
And
it must feel, especially if it's you can't do anything about it.
No, and the drag is you think it's really, you know, all my impression of jail was actually from films. So I think, well, I'm gonna get ripped. I'm gonna work out.
Yeah.
I tried to do a push-up with my feet on the bed, and my head hit the toilet, and that was the end of my workout plan. I mean, so it's, you know, they've designed them very well. It's not a place you want to be.
No, no, and not a place I guess you'll ever be going back to.
I certainly hope not.
This is going to sound ridiculous, but I've got to ask you, did anyone there think, wow, Jack Bauer's going to break us all out of here? It's going to this is it. Stop spreading the word. We're going to be out in about an hour.
No, but it was
fast.
I have to say the other guys in the jail were quite nice to me about that.
I'm pleased that you've got the movie coming up because I'm a fan, as you know.
Oh, thank you.
But I guess you have a lot more time off now if you're not committed to a series like the one that you've had before.
Yeah,
That would have been a big...
That hasn't... Again, we finished shooting 5 days ago, and so that part of it hasn't hit me. You know, because I love to work. I mean, the last time I had a real break like this, at least in front of me, that's when I started a rodeo and I learned how to do that. And
now, hang on, hold on.
Yeah.
You see, I've had time off in the past, and rodeo never even occurred to me.
No. Well, I was living in Montana, and I moved there to ski, and I had no idea what to do in the summer. And so I started messing around with horses, because I fell in love with those during the Young Gun pictures. And my neighbors ran cattle, and they started showing me how to use a rope, and one thing led to another, and I had a real natural affinity for it. I mean, and then I joined the United States Team Roping Championships and went to the national finals in '94, '96. And
this actually happened?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
And this is, rodeo is, forgive my ignorance, because I don't think we have a similar thing over here. This is when you ride on quite an angry horse and you catch another angry horse.
It's a series of events, and all of the events were designed when the West opened up. Yeah. Each farm kind of would come together with the other farms in the area. And they would show their different skills of how to raise the cattle. So you would have team roping and calf roping, you would have bull riding, you would have bronc busting.
So you can actually lasso a cow?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, what a skill to have. Not the most useful in LA, I imagine, but what a...
You'd be surprised.
and you can just get it. You've got a good target and everything?
Yeah. It's a great way to meet a girl.
That's awesome.
Grab her by the feet. So yeah, so hopefully I'll do something kind of exciting like that in this break.
Do you do any other kind of Western skills? Are you good with the gun and that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm proficient with the guns, and I think over the years I've had to use so many in the films. You know, Young Guns was a Sharps 50 caliber rifle. Certainly in the course of 24, I think I've used pretty much every kind of weapon you can possibly use.
What's the best weapon you've got to use in 24? What's the most fun?
Well, the machine guns are a blast. I mean, they get your heart going, and 50 caliber machine gun actually rattles your bones a bit. And, but you know, in the context of all of those scenes, it's fantastic stuff to be able to play with. I mean, I certainly don't advocate this for everyday use or for anybody else, but in the context of making the films, you kick in a door and let off a shotgun round, you feel kind of tough.
Oh, let's go and do it again.
Yeah, come on.
Come on. And then afterwards, I'll pay for that tattoo you want. Hey, what's the deal? Why do they do that in film sometimes? Just before you go, you don't do it in 24 where that's how you hold a gun, but then you see some guys go, oh yeah, that's right. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know how that started, because if you've actually tried to, everybody seems to do that with an automatic, which means the shell is ejecting straight back into your head.
It's a stupid thing to do.
And you can't actually aim it like that. I mean, the gun will not fire properly on its side axis, but it certainly looked cool.
A more detailed and precise answer I couldn't possibly have hoped for. It's lovely to have you back on the show.
Thank you very much.
I'm a great admirer of your talent, and it's lovely to have you here again. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kiefer Sutherland.
Thank you so much.
You're going to stay for the music?
Yeah.
Kiefer's going to stay for the music. Thanks to all my guests on the show this evening. Kiefer, of course, Idris Elba and the lovely Gemma Archerton. Thank you, guys.